Okay. One more second. Okay, everybody, we are online on Facebook. Okay, welcome to the class. And today we're going to be starting in chapter 24 of the Madhya Lila, which is about the Atmarama verse. So it's going to be a little technical. Today's class is going to be little technical. So let's chant first, as we normally do. Namaho Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutanai Srimate Bhaktivedanta Samaniti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gurumani Pracharanai Nivasation Sanyo Vadeva Shachare Gatavanai Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Sivasati Gaurabhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Sivasati Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravatikacharya, also Teta Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace Abhaya Charanara Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Maturadam Ki Jai, Jagannath Swami Ki Jai, Yamunamai Ki Jai, Srimati Lasidevi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda, Hari Hari Bol. All glorious the assembled devotees, all glorious the assembled devotees, all glorious the assembled devotees, all glorious to Shri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Can you bring a chair over here so I can put this light on the chair? That. Thank you. That's good. That's better. And face it towards me, please. That's better. What? No. No, it has to go forward. All right. We just have some people here who just don't know the lights are supposed to go in front of me. They basically think lights are supposed to be in back of me to show my profile. Okay. So anyway, let's continue with our Sri Caitanya Caritamrta reading. Just some announcements in the beginning. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pasaya Budale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nevashesha Shunyavadi Paschyatate Shatarni. Just some okay, they're adjusting the lights intelligently. So just some announcements in the beginning. For those of you in Australia, just Australia, not New Zealand, I will be in Australia starting in Brisbane on the 4th of April for about 5 or 6 days. And then after that, I'm going to be going to Sydney for about 2 weeks. So you figure that 4th or 5th till about the 10th or 11th. Then I go to Sydney for 2 weeks. And then after that, I go back to Fiji. However, if New Zealand happens to open up to tourists in the meantime, I'll extend my visit and go to New Zealand. But it doesn't seem likely because New Zealand is closed to tourists. Not closed to Australians, but closed to poor Americans. So let's go on to the Caitanya Caritamrta. We're reading from Om Gana Timiranda Shah Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Meditam Yena Tasmai Shigurve Namaha. Om Gana. So I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. So, basically, we're starting with the 24th chapter of the Sri Caitanya Caritamrta. The 24th chapter of the Sri Caitanya Caritamrta Madhya Lila deals with what we call the Atmarama verse. And this gets very philosophical, so it's going to probably take us some time to go through this chapter. But let's start. So, Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. So chapter 24 is entitled The 61 Explanations of the Atmarama verse. Just a little brief summary of where this took place. This is when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was talking to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and converting Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya from being a Mayavadi or impersonalist to a personalist or a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did was that he took different explanations of each and every word in the Atmarama verse, and he combined it with the explanations of other words in different permutations of understanding the Atmarama verse, and he came up with 61 different versions or interpretations of this verse. The following summary of this chapter is given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Pravaha Vasha. According to Sri Sanatana Goswami's request, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained the well-known Srimad Bhagavatam verse beginning, Atmaramas cha muniya. He explained this verse in 61 different ways. He analyzed all the words and described each word with its different connotation. Adding the words cha and api, he described all the different meanings of the verse. He then concluded that different classes of transcendentalists, Jnanis, Karmis, and Yogis interpret this verse according, or utilize this verse according to their own interpretation. But that if they would give up this process and surrender to Krishna, as indicated by the verse itself, they would be able to comprehend the real meaning of the verse. In this regard, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu narrated a story how the great sage Narada converted a hunter into a great Vaishnava, and how this was appreciated by Narada's friend Parvata Muni. Sanatana Goswami then offered a prayer to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained the glory of Srimad Bhagavatam. After this, the Lord gave Sanatana Goswami a synopsis of the Hari Bhakti Vilasa, which Sanatana Goswami later developed into the guiding principle of all Vaishnavas. First verse. Atmarameti padyarakash yartam shunya prakashihan jagatamo jaharavyat Yodhyachalaha. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who acted as the eastern horizon where the sun of the Atmarama verse rose. He manifested its rays in the form of different meanings, and thus eradicated the darkness of the material world. May he protect the universe. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Lord Chaitanya, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Dvaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Tabe Sanatana Parvura Charane Dhariya Punarapi Kaye Kichu Vinaya Kariya. Thereafter, Sanatana Goswami clasped the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and humbly submitted the following petition. Purve Shuniyachon Tumi Sarvabhaumastane Ekashloke Athararta Kairacha Vyakyane. Sanatana Goswami said, My Lord, I have heard that previously at the home of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, you explained the Atmarama verse in 18 different ways. And here's the verse. Atmaramascha muniho nigranta parukrame Purvanchakaita Tim Itambuddha Guno Harahi. And the translation is, those who are self-satisfied and unattracted by external material desires are also attracted to the loving service of Sri Krishna, whose qualities are transcendental and whose activities are wonderful. Hari, the personality of Godhead, is called Krishna because he has such transcendentally attractive features. So this is the famous Atmarama verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:7-10. And this verse, of course, just to give a little explanation, is utilized in relationship to Shukadeva Goswami and also the four Kumaras. And the reason this verse is utilized in relationship to these personalities is that both Shukadeva Goswami and the four Kumaras were Brahmavadis. There's a difference between Brahmavadi and Mayavadi. A Brahmavadi is more or less like an agnostic. A Brahmavadi is absorbed in Brahman, but he doesn't criticize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Don't worry, that's not an alarm. That's just the cooking. He doesn't criticize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He just says, I don't know. So it's like an agnostic who doesn't know, who hasn't had anything proven to him. But a Mayavadi is one who criticizes the Lord and says that the Lord's body, personality, pastimes are all material, are just illusion or Maya. So that's the difference. So we got Shukadeva Goswami, who is a Brahmavadi absorbed in Brahman, and the four Kumaras absorbed in Brahman. Yet, when Shukadeva Goswami came across the pastimes of the Lord, which are described in this particular verse, the Atmarama verse, let's get to the Sanskrit right here. Kurvante Haitaki Bhaktim Itambuto Ganahari Atmaramas Chamunio Nigranta. So even if one, anyway, we're going to get into the explanations right away, but even if one is on the Brahman platform, if one is actually exposed to the pastimes or the qualities or forms of the Lord, one becomes attracted. Now, that proves that the qualities, pastimes, etc., of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are spiritual, because one on the Brahman platform is not interested in anything material. He's only interested in spiritual things, and he, at that point, when he's interested in the Brahman platform, he's interested in undifferentiated spirit. So, therefore, because he becomes interested in the differentiated pastimes of the Lord, the qualities of the Lord, the Lila, which we said pastimes, same thing, then that proves that the Lila, the qualities, the associates of the Lord are all spiritual, because one on the Brahman platform is not attracted to anything material. Anyway, that's very easy to understand. So that verse is utilized in relationship, specifically with Shukadeva Goswami, but also with the four Kumaras and others who are absorbed in undifferentiated Brahman. Ascharya Shunya Mora Utkantita Madha Kripakari Kahayari Judaya Shavanha. I've heard this wonderful story, and I'm therefore very inquisitive to hear your explanation again. If you will kindly repeat it, I would be very pleased to hear. Prabhukai Amivatula Amaravachane Sarvabhama Vatulata Sachakari Manhe. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, I am one madman, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is another. Therefore he took my words to be the truth. Kiva Palapilana Kichunahi Kosmarane Tomara Sangabale Yadi Kichun Hayamane. I do not recall what I spoke in that connection, but if something comes across my mind due to association with you, I shall explain it. Sahaje Amara Kichu Arta Nahivase Tomasavara Sangabale Ye Kichu Prakashe. Generally, by myself, I cannot give an explanation, but by the strength of your association, something may manifest itself. Ekadashapada Eshloke Sunirmala Patagnanartha Pade Kari Jala Madha. There are 11 clear words in this verse, but when they are studied separately, various meanings glitter from each word. The 11 separate words are 1 Atmarama, 2 Cha, 3 Muniya, 4 Nigrantha, 5 Api, 6 Urukrame, 7 Kurvanti, 8 Ahoitukim, 9 Bhaktim, 10 Itam Guna, and 11 Hari. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will explain these different connotations and imports of these words. Atma Shab Deha Manayatna Driti Buddhi Swabhava He Sata Artha Prapti. The 7 different meanings of the word Atma are the absolute truth, the body, the mind, endeavor, and nature. So see what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing here. He's giving the different meanings of each and every word, and then doing sort of like a permutations within each and every meaning of every other word, and you're going to come up with 61 different meanings of this Atmarama verse. So he's saying, let's go back again to this verse. Atma can mean the absolute truth, because that's the super-atma, or the paramatma. The body, sometimes the living entity identifies himself with the body, and that's myself, the body. Where are you? I'm here. The mind, identify with the mind. You identify with the endeavor or some action that you're doing. Also means intelligence and nature. Wow. That is pretty interesting. It also means nature. It also means the self, which is here. Atma Deha Mano Brahma Swabhava Driti Buddhishu Pratyatne Chak Iti. The following are symptoms of the word Atma: the body, mind, absolute truth, natural characteristic, firmness, intelligence, and endeavor. It's the same thing. It's a quotation from the Vishnu Prakasha dictionary. Hey Sate Rame Hey, say Atmarama Ganha, Atmarama Ganera Ge Kariba Ganana. The word Atmarama refers to one who enjoys these 7 items. Because you got Atma, which means basically all those 7 items, the self, the endeavor, the body, etc. Refers to one who enjoys the 7 items, the absolute truth, body, mind, and so on. Later I shall enumerate the Atmaramas. So in other words, even those who are materialistic are Atmaramas because they're enjoying the body, or attempting to enjoy the body. Muniyari Sabdera Arta Shuna Sanatana, because Rama means to enjoy. Pratak Arta Pache Kariba Milana. My dear Sanatan, first hear the meanings of the other words, beginning with the word Muni. I shall first explain their separate meanings, then combine them in different permutations. Muni Shabde Manana Shila Arakahi Moni Tapashvi Vrati Yati Ararishi Muni. The word Muni refers to one who is thoughtful, also one who is grave or silent, an ascetic, one who keeps great vows, one in the renounced order, and a saint. These are the different meanings of the word Muni. So let's see, there's how many meanings here. Thoughtful, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, you get 6 different meanings. So if you do permutations even with the first word, Atmarama, then you get 6 times 7. Wow, that's quite a bit. Nigranta Shabde Kahiya Vidya Granti Hina Vidi Nisheda Veda Shastra Ganadi Vihina. The word Nirgrantha refers to one who is liberated from the material knots of ignorance. It also means stupid. It also refers to one who is devoid of all regulated principles, Nirgrantha, without regulated principles, enjoying the Vedic literatures. It also refers to one who does not have knowledge. So you got 3 different versions here. So then, 6 times 7 times 3. I mean, you can do the mathematics. Morka Nicha Malecha Hari Shastra Rikta Ganat Dana Sanchaye Nigrantha Hara Ye Nirdana. Nirgrantha also refers to one who is illiterate. More meanings. lowborn, misbehaved, unregulated, and devoid of respect for the Vedic literature. Sounds like the students here. The word also refers to one who is a capitalist and to one who has no riches. Nirnishye nish kramarte nirmana nishedyo granto dane tasandarbe varna sangratane picha. The word ni may be used in the for the sense of ascertainment, gradation, construction, or forbidding. The word grantha means riches, thesis, and composition. This is another quotation from the Vishra Prakasha dictionary, Sanskrit dictionary. Orukrama shabde kahibara yanra krama krama shabde kahi padavikshepana. The word arukrama refers to one whose krama step is great. The word throwing the foot forward, that is stepping, usually refers to Lord Vamanadev. That's my comment. Shakti kampa paripati yukti shakti akramana charana chalane kanpaila tribhuvana. Krama also means power, trembling, a systematic method, argument, and a forcible attack by stepping forward. Thus, Vamana caused the three worlds to tremble. So Prabhupada explains that Uru means very great and Krama means step. When Lord Vamanadev was offered 3 steps of land, he expanded his 3 steps by covering the entire universe. In this way, the 3 worlds trembled, and therefore Sri Vamanadev, the incarnation of Lord Vishnu, is referred to as Urukrama. Vishnor nupvirya gananam gatamaratiya ya partivanyapi kavir vimanme rajamse jaskambayasva ramasakalata triprishdam yasmat trisamya sadananuru kampayanam. Even if a learned man is able to count all the minute atoms in this material world, he still cannot count the potencies of Lord Vishnu. In the form of the Vamana incarnation, Lord Vishnu without hindrance captured all the planets extending from the root of the material world up to Satyaloka. Indeed, he caused every planetary system to tremble by the force of his steps. So this is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 2.740 in the Rig Veda mantras 1.2, 154.1. It is said, Om Vishnu nu viryane kam pravocham ya partivani vimanae rajamsi yoksh kambayadutaram sadastam vichakramanas credoru gayaha. The meaning of this verse is practically identical to that of the above verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, quoted. Vibhu rupe vyape shakti dharana poshana madhurya shakti galoka aishwarye paravyomya. Through his all-pervasive feature, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has expanded the entire creation. He is holding and maintaining this creation by his extraordinary potency. By his conjugal potency, he maintains the planetary system known as Goloka Vrindavan. Through his 6 opulences, he maintains many Vaikuntha planets. And Prabhupada explains, in his gigantic form, Lord Krishna has covered the creation. He holds all the planetary systems and maintains them by his inconceivable potencies. Similarly, he is maintaining his personal abode, Goloka Vrindavan, through his conjugal love, and he is maintaining the spiritual world, containing the Vaikuntha planets by his opulences. Maya Shakje Brahmandari Paripati Sri Jana Urukrama Shabdere Arta Dirupana. The word of Rukrama indicates the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who by his external potency has perfectly created innumerable universes. Kramashakto Paripatyam Kramaschalana Kampayoho. These are different meanings of the word krama. It is used in the sense of potency, systematic arrangement, step, moving, or trembling. Quotation from the Vishwa Prakasha Dictionary: the Supreme Personality of Godhead is all-pervasive. Not only does he carry the three worlds by his inconceivable energy, but he maintains them also. He is also maintaining his spiritual planet, Goloka Vrindavan, by his conjugal love, and he is maintaining the Vaikuntha Lokas by his opulences. He maintains the material universes through his external energy. The material universes are perfectly situated because they are created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kurvanti padahe parasmai padahaya Krishna sukha nimrata bhajane tatparya kahaya. The word kurvanti means they do something for others, since it is a form of the verb to do, indicating things done for others. It is used in connection with devotional service, which must be executed for the satisfaction of Krishna. That is the purport of the word kurvanti. So Prabhupada says in Sanskrit, the verb to do has two forms, technically called parasmai pada and antmane pada. When things are done for one's personal satisfaction, the form is called atmane pada. In that case, the word do in English is kurvate in Sanskrit. When things are done for others, the verb form changes to kurvanti. Interesting. It's the N-te, T. Thus, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu informed Sanatana Goswami that in the Atmarama verse, the verb kurvanti means that things should be done only for the satisfaction of Krishna. This is supported by the grammarian Panini. The verb is formed as atmane pada. When work is done, is to be done for one's own benefit, and when it is done for others, it is called parasmai pada. Thus, the verb is formed according to whether something is done for one's self-satisfaction or for another's satisfaction. A little technical here. Swarita nita kartri abhipraya kriya pale. The terminations of the atmane pada are employed when the fruit of an action accrues to the agency of verbs having an indicatory, ene, that's with an N with a little curlicue on the top, or a swarita accent. This is a quotation from Panini's Sutras 1372. Hetu shabde kai bhukti adi vanchantare bhukti siddhi mukti mukhya hetina prakare. The word hetu, cause, means that a thing is done for some motive. There can be three motives. One may act to enjoy the result personally, to achieve some material perfection, or to attain liberation. Of course, that's bhukti, mukti, siddhi, or bhukti, siddhi, mukti, in that order. Eka bhukti kahe boga ananta prakara siddhi ashta dasha mukti panchavidha kara. First, we take the word bhukti. Oops. I don't want my phone to talk to me. First, we take the word bhukti, material enjoyment, which is of a limited variety. We may also take the word siddhi, perfection, see, I guess the words, which is 18 varieties. Similarly, the word mukti has 5 varieties. Oh my God, this is getting too complicated. E yanha nahita bhakti ahitaki yahaite vashahaya Shri Krishna kautuki. Causeless devotional service is unmotivated by sense enjoyment, perfection, or liberation. When one is freed from all these contaminations, he can bring Lord Krishna, who is very funny, under control. Text 30. Bhakti shabdera artahaya dashavida kara eka sadhana prema bhakti navapakara. There are 10 meanings for the word bhakti, devotional service. One is sadhana bhakti, execution of devotional service according to the regulated principles. And the other 9 are varieties of prema bhakti, ecstatic love of Godhead. Wow. The 9 varieties of prema bhakti are rati, prema, sneha, mana, pranaya, raga, Anuraga Bhava, and Mahabhava. And so this is described here in the translation of each one of these words. So, of course, rati means attraction, prema means love, sneha means affection, mana means adverse feelings like anger, pranaya means intimacy, raga means attachment, anuraga means sub-attachment, and finally, and bhava, of course, means ecstatic emotion or ecstatic love, and finally, prema, that means ecstatic love, simply ecstatic love. For the word sadhana bhakti, there's only one meaning. The execution of devotional service according to regulated principles. And that is a very interesting verse, because these are the different stages of prema bhakti that the gopis experience. And of course, Srimati Radharani and her associates are the ones who experience Mahabhav, which is very sublime, ecstatic love. Rati Lakshana, Prema Lakshana, Ityari Prachara, Bhava Rupa Mahabhava. Whoops. Someone asked a question. Yes, Sanskrit verbs, forms are very. Who's asking the questions? Oh, Mataji is asking the question. Thank you very much, Mataji. Formula. So, the intensities of prema only apply to, yeah, I know, to the conjugal rasa. The other rasas are a bit different. Thank you. Rati is both transcendental and material. Yes, you can have a taste for material things too. Rati Lakshana, Prema Lakshana, Ityari Prachara, Bhava Rupa, Mahabhava, Lakshana Rupa, Hara. Next, I explain the symptoms of love of Godhead, which can be divided into 9 varieties, beginning with attraction and extending up to ecstatic love, and finally up to the topmost ecstatic love, Mahabhava. Shanta Bhaktera Rati Bhari Prema Paryanta Dasha Bhaktera Rati Hayaraga Dasha Anta. The attraction to Krishna of devotees on the platform of neutrality increases up to love of Godhead, Prema, and the attraction of devotees on the platform of servitorship increases to spontaneous attachment, Raga. It's only the gopis who actually can have all the different stages. Sakha Ganera Ratihaya Anuraga Paryanta Vitri Matri Sneha Adi Anuraga Anta. Devotees in Vrindavan who are friends of the Lord can increase their ecstatic love to the point of anuraga. Parental affectionate lovers, Krishna's father and mother, can increase their love of God up to the end of anuraga, the topmost expression of anuraga. Kanta Ganera Ratipaya Mahabhava Sema Bhakti Sadhe Sabdere Saba Artera Mahima. The gopis of Vrindavan who are attached to Krishna in conjugal love can increase their ecstatic love up to the point of Mahabhava, the greatest ecstatic love. These are some of the glorious meanings of the word bhakti. Itam bhuta guna shabdera sunaha vyakyana itam shabdera vinarta guna shabdera ghana. Please hear the meaning of the word itam bhuta guna, which is found in the Atmarama verse. Itam bhuta has different meanings and guna has other meanings. Itam bhuta shabdera artha purnananda maya yanrage brahmananda trina praya khaya. The word itam bhuta is transcendently exalted because it means full of transcendental bliss. Before this transcendental bliss, the bliss derived from merging into the existence of the absolute Brahmananda becomes like a piece of straw in comparison. Twat sakshad karanalada vishudabdi stitasya sukhani goshpadayante ramanyapi jagat guru. My dear Lord, O Master of the Universe, since I have directly seen you, my transcendental bliss has taken the shape of a great ocean. Being situated in that ocean, I now realize all other so-called happiness to be like the water contained in the hoofprint of a calf. And this is the verse from the Hari Bhakti Shuddhodaya, 1436. Sarvakar Shaka Sarvaladaka Maharasayana Apanara Balekare Sarva Vishmarana. Lord Krishna is so exalted that he is more attractive than anything else and he's more pleasing than anything else. He is the most sublime abode of bliss. By his own strength, he causes one to forget all other ecstasies. Mukti Mukti Siddhi Sukha Chadaya Yaragande Olokika Shakti Gune Krishna Kripaya Bande. Pure devotional service is so sublime that one can very easily forget the happiness derived from material enjoyment, material liberation, and mystic or yogic perfection. Thus, the devotee is bound by Krishna's mercy and his uncommon power and pastimes. So, Shastra Yukti Nahi Han Siddhanta Vichara Esvabhava Gune Yate Madhuyera Sara. There's no longer any logical argument on the basis of revealed scripture, nor are there considerations of such conclusions. This is his transcendental quality that is the essence of all transcendental sweetness. Guna Shabdera Artha Krishnara Guna Ananta Sachid Rupa Guna Sarva Purnananda. The word guna means quality. The qualities of Krishna are transcendently situated and are unlimited in quantity. All the spiritual qualities are full of transcendental bliss. Aishvarya Madhurya Karunye Sarupa Purnata Bhaktavatsalya Atma Paryanta Vadanyata. Krishna's transcendental qualities of opulence, sweetness, and mercy are perfect and full. As far as Krishna's affectionate leaning towards his devotees is concerned, he is so magnanimous that he can give himself to his devotees. Alokika Rupa Rasa Surabhari Guna Karomana Kona Gune Kare Akarshana. Krishna has unlimited qualities. The devotees are attracted by his uncommon beauty, mellows, and fragrance. Thus, they are differently situated in different transcendental mellows. Therefore, Krishna is called all attractive. Sanakadi Ramana Harila Sorobari Gune. The minds of the four boys sages, Sanaka, Sanatan, Sananda, and Sanat Kumar, were attracted to the lotus feet of Krishna by the aroma of the tulsi that had been offered to the Lord. And I mentioned before that previously they were Brahmavadis, absorbed in Brahman, and they were attempting to go to the Vaikuntha planets to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they were blocked by Jai and Vijay. But in the meantime, the Lord came there to see what was happening, and they smelled the tulsi leaves and flowers offered at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And just by that smell, they became overwhelmed by bhakti. And that's proof, that is actually proof, that bhakti is transcendental. Actually, we're going to end a little early because it's getting a little complicated, and I have some things here I want to do so we can take some questions from all you out there. And hold on a second, let me unmute you so you can ask questions. So who has some questions they would like that? You can even write down your questions, or you can raise your hand. I see my mother actually has some questions. So Mother Urmila, you have some questions.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're the right person to ask, but this description here of how far each of the rasas go up with this variety,
Yeah.
it's not exactly the same as what's in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu.
Yeah, I think you have to ask some of the other members of SAC about that. I
Yeah,
noticed that too.
you notice the same thing because you've taught that part, and it's like in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa says the parents are in raga, and here it's anuraga.
Yeah,
And and neutrality doesn't go to prema. Neutrality only goes to bhava. And here it's saying that neutrality goes to prema. And it's like,
yeah. So I don't know what to say. I mean, this is. I mean, you can go to the Bengali and look at it, but those are accurate translations given by Prabhupada. So
no, they are. You can see in the Bengali that it is. But, when you look at the Sanskrit of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it's different. So
yeah,
what to
maybe
do?
why don't you ask some Sanskrit experts or scholarly people in the SAC about that?
Okay. And should I get back to you with what they say?
You get back to me because that would be interesting to find why is there such a difference.
Yeah, it's quite different. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's actually a very good question, and that shows that she was paying attention. I wish you could all pay so much attention like that. So, who else has a question here? No audio. Rishikesh, you can't hear me? I think everybody else can hear me.
The volume is quite low.
Oh, the volume is low. Is this
There was a
better?
temporary glitch, I think. It's okay now. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, okay. Everybody else can hear. Because I just speak in the normal volume. So, who else has a question? Rishikesh, you have a question?
No, not anything particular, Gurudev.
Okay.
But the point raised by Urmila Mataji is very interesting. Why there is so much difference?
Can you speak louder than that? I can't hear you.
No, I mean, what Urmila Mataji said is kind of interesting to see why there is difference. Is there any?
Yeah, and we're going to find out. I'm sure she'll find out why there's a difference between the different descriptions in the Caitanya Charitamrta and in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Rupa Goswami.
Also, Gurudev, in Srimad Bhagavatam also I've seen the Sanskrit words, word to word says different, and the translation is completely different than the word to word translation, word to word this thing.
Well, in the Bhagavatam, and as all of Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada is giving a realized translation, actually a purported translation.
I got it.
And
Okay.
in other words, Prabhupada's translations are not always literal translations because he's actually giving the connotation, the understanding, the purport of that particular verse within the verse itself. And when Prabhupada does that, he's following in the footsteps or the mood of the previous acharyas who also have done the same thing.
Okay.
See, Prabhupada would consult tikas or the commentaries of the previous acharyas, and Prabhupada's commentaries are very much in line with the commentaries of the previous acharyas. And Prabhupada would include that in many cases, not speaking literally, but drawing out the essence of the meaning of the verse and the purport of the verse, the denotation and the connotation of a particular verse. And one who studies Prabhupada's books, you'll see this happens quite often. But at the same time, Prabhupada has included the word-by-word translations of each, that is, of each and every word. So one can see where Prabhupada is deriving that and actually see Prabhupada's realization and appreciate Prabhupada's realization. So here's a question from Jagat. One on the Brahman platform has no attraction to the material world, yet has a tendency to fall down to the material world. Well, he has a tendency to fall down in the material world. The verse in the Bhagavatam states, Aruya Kachena Param Padam Patanti Yujmad Angreyaha. Because being in the Brahman, where there's no action, he's not attracted to the material world. But if he rises up to the Brahman effulgence, there's no activity. And therefore, as a soul, the soul needs activity, needs relationships, and because of that lack, he leaves the Brahman and then comes down to the material world and falls down. So it's not that he's attracted to specific aspects of the material world other than the need for actual action or relationships, but he's attracted to well, he's not attracted specifically, but he feels that need of the soul, because the soul by nature is active and has those needs. And because of those needs, he leaves the Brahman effulgence, then becomes attracted to the material world. Not that he's in the Brahman effulgence and he sees some car, sees a Tesla or something like that, and he thinks, I'm going to come down to the material world to drive a Tesla. I hope that explains that, Jagat. So, anybody else have a question? No. No one else has a question. So, we asked the devotees to study this. Okay, here's another one. Hare Krishna Gurudev. That's me. All glories, lotus feet. Please explain the difference between Mishra Bhakti, Yoga Mishra Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, and Karma Mishra Bhakti. I've never heard the word Yoga Mishra Bhakti. Mishra means mixed. So one performs, you could actually say Yoga Mishra Bhakti. In other words, one would be performing bhakti to get some mystic powers. I've never even heard that expression, Yoga Mishra Bhakti, before, but just like understanding what you're meaning. Mishra means mixed. That you want some mystic powers if you're performing yoga, siddhis. And Jnana Mishra Bhakti would be mixed with a desire basically for liberation. And Karma Mishra Bhakti would be your bhakti is mixed with a desire to enjoy this material world. Just like you have your Satyanarayan Katha, which I think, let's see, Keshav is asking that question, so you would be familiar with that. In the Indian culture, you have your Satyanarayan Katha, where you worship Narayan and you tell stories about how different people who worship Narayan got material opulences. Then you get very enthusiastic. And also, in our temple, it's very interesting. In our temple of Fiji, we have a very interesting picture that one of the main devotees who's no longer with us had us put up, and that's the picture of Sudama Brahman. And the reason he wanted that picture up was that so people would be very enthusiastic to give money to the temple, because he was this particular individual, great devotee, but he was a Vaishya by mentality, by culture. So his idea was that if people thought of the story of Sudama Brahman, and of course the story of Sudama Brahman is that he offered Krishna just some pieces of broken rice, and when he got back home, he found a mansion with a swimming pool, with all sorts of sports. No, I'm just making that up. But with all anyway, and his wife with all sorts of servants, and people think, wow, if I give, actually he had two pictures put up in our Fiji temple. One is the story of Sudama Brahman, where Sudama got everything by giving some broken rice to Krishna. And then the other picture he had put up, look at this mentality, was a picture of the fruit salesman who was offering fruit, and the fruit seller. And Krishna came to pay for the fruit with a few little grains in his hands, and the grains fell out of his hands, and basically the fruit seller got maybe one or two little grains in exchange for his whole basket of fruit. But then when he looked at the basket, what did he get? He got a whole basket of gems. So that's typical example of encouraging people in the mood of Karma Mishra Bhakti. That look at this fruit seller. Basically, he gave everything to Krishna. And what did he get? Gave his fruit to Krishna. And what did he get? Jewels in his basket. Wow. What to speak of me? If I give $100 to Krishna, I'll probably get unlimited in return. And then you read all these different injunctions that if you give to Krishna, you'll get so many times in return. You give to a pure devotee, you get unlimited times in return. And so that's one of the main motivations why people may, not everybody, of course, why many people may give money to devotees, because they're thinking, blessings. I want my blessings. Of course, some people want blessings of becoming pure devotees of Krishna, which is actually nice. But most of the people, they want blessings of success in this material world. Bhukti mukti. Very few people that I meet want success in yoga practices. So that's what you would probably mean by yoga mishra bhakti. Very few people that I meet want to be liberated. I mean, some people who are in distress say, I want liberation, but 99% of the people I meet want some material attainment. You know, please bless me that this business deal will be successful. Please bless my house. Please bless my car. You know, I tell the story many times that people bring their cars to the temple and they say, can you please, I'm giving this car to Krishna, and will you please bless it? And I said, sure. And I say, thank you for the car. And they said, no, that's not what I meant. I was giving it to Krishna so I could use it. I wanted you to bless it so the car would be blessed. And I said, thank you. And then another time, I was doing a fire sacrifice, and people put all gold coins in the sacrifice. And I was thinking, boy, this is the best fire sacrifice that's ever done. I'm going to be a rich man after this fire sacrifice. And then after the fire sacrifice, swaha, 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 I said to the people, I said, thank you very much. I really appreciate this. And they said to me, no, we were just purifying our gold, just blessing our gold. So this is called karma mishra bhakti. So most of the 99% of the people I deal with are interested in karma mishra bhakti, you know, worshiping Krishna. Of course, it's better than worshiping the demigods, as it said in the Bhagavatam. Akama sarva kama moksha karma dharadi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. One should worship Krishna whether one is free of material desires, full of material desires, or desirous of liberation. In any case, one should worship Krishna. So that's what they want. I mean, I've done so many groundbreakings for motels that I can't even think of or count. So people will be successful in their motels. And when they're successful, they attribute their success to me, which is kind of nice. And basically, that's generally how people think in this world. We want blessings because we want material things. So karma mishra bhakti is the main one. Very seldom if I run into anyone, you know, jnana mishra bhakti wanting liberation. And once in a while. And yoga mishra bhakti, you just make that term up. There are a few people I ran into who were interested in success in yoga. I have one disciple who's one of the best yogis in the world, and his sadhana was like 4 hours every morning while I was chanting the holy name. Of course, he also chanted 16 rounds, but his main sadhana was practicing yoga between 3 o'clock in the morning. I used to stay with him in Finland, and I just had to basically control myself to not just be amazed at everything he was doing right in front of me while I was chanting the holy names. I had to concentrating on Krishna's name or names, because otherwise I would just like faint at seeing all these postures. Okay, I guess that's it. We'll see everybody tomorrow, same time, same station. And this is a little complicated, this chapter, understanding all the permutations of the meanings of each and every name, but try to understand how intelligent Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, and try to understand the points that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is making in this particular chapter. And also appreciate Krishna's qualities and the nature of pure devotional service. Okay, on that happy note,